Welcome everyone to January 4th Town Council meeting. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Well, a little bit to talk about, I should say. We are missing Mr. Stork. Other than that, we do have a quorum. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If everybody can stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me, I appreciate it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our clerk is not here tonight. She is ill, so we will have to proceed without her. Before we get started, I would like to introduce two members that are new to the town council. One of them just started on January 2nd. We have your new town manager, India Adam Jacobs with an S. And then we got of course, your new town attorney, Jeff Gore. And the company you represent is?
Hefty Wiley and Gore.
Hefty Wiley and Gore. All right. I know he was on prior, but I just want to do a formal welcome of welcome them on board because we really need a good team right now, and I think we have a good team that we can push forward through and getting through our issues that we have in this town. So I'd just like to welcome everybody. Welcome the new crew. All right, down to business. Public comments. Do we have anybody out there that would like to public comments? If so, I open public comments. Please come up, state your name and your address, and I'll give you 3 minutes. Since we don't have anybody else out here, I might even go over that. Yes, sir. Hit that red button on the bottom of the. There you go.
Sounds good. Can everybody hear me? Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy New Year to everyone. And my name is Rick Hanley, and I live in 101 Lacey Lane, right down the street here in Bowling Green. I've been a member of Bowling Green now since August, and really appreciate the small town atmosphere, appreciate the togetherness, and just appreciate the amenities of being in a small town yet living in a rural county. So it is really a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to have the water and the sewer and the trash all taken care of, just like I'm living in a big city with the beauty of the small town. I don't really have any public comment per se, but I would like to just, in my own words, in my own time, just to read a prayer that I have written on behalf of this town, on behalf of you as the members. Lord, I pray that you will guide and direct the members of the Bowling Green Town Council as they come together on behalf of this lovely town of Bowling Green. Grant them wisdom as they make the decisions for 2024. Enlarge their vision as they plan for the future. Grant strength when faced with difficult challenges this year and unity that cannot be broken. Place a hedge of protection over each member and their families, the police, sheriff's department, and their staff, in our town, knowing that except the Lord build the house, we labor in vain to build it, and except the Lord watches over the city, the watchman waketh in vain. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, amen. Thank you all for allowing me to do that. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. You did that at the last meeting too, didn't you?
I'm sorry?
You said a prayer at the last meeting, or was that somebody?
No, I did. No, I did not.
Yeah. Well, we
Well, I think it's very important, being a person of faith, a former pastor, minister, I think it is important to know that people of faith and the community of faith has your back, and that we do, not only just take care of our churches and minister to our flock, but we also try to shepherd and work alongside of you guys to shepherd the town, shepherd the city, because there's so much stuff that's going on, so many things out there. So I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that we are praying for you, and we do have your back. And if you need to just reach out for any need, any spiritual need, just to talk, I'm available, and you're free to do that afterwards. Just let me know. I'll be glad to share my information to you.
Well, anytime you want to say a prayer for the opening of the meetings, it's more than welcome. We're not allowed to do it ourselves because Congress, the state states that we cannot do it, but we can welcome outsiders to please come in and do it. So anytime you want to my opinion, it's greatly welcome. So appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the prayer, sir. Appreciate it. Anybody else out there? Seeing none here, none. Closing public comments. Members' comments. Do we have any of our constituents that would like to say something before we move on?
Well, I just want to welcome India. We look forward to working with you and really excited.
Okay, moving on to staff reports. We have Public Works, and I can tell you one thing: we have been busy with Public Works here in the past couple weeks. We've had several water main breaks. They also been getting up trash, they've been getting up leaves, they've been doing a good job with it. We also had a mold test done for the town hall, and it came back mostly acceptable. We still, we have a little bit of mold, slightly elevated, nothing major, which is a good thing. At least we know we're still safe in here. We still got to deal with them panels in the ceiling back there. One thing about mold, as long as you don't disturb it, it doesn't bother you. And one thing this building doesn't seem to have a central air system, especially in there. So it's not getting up top, moving stuff around. You're just getting the heaters that kick on, and all that's down below. So once we get into replacing those panels, we may find a little bit different situation. But as of right now, everything looks pretty acceptable. We also had water leaks that we had to deal with the roof. We had 2 or 3 different locations that was leaking. It's not the first time since we put the new roof on, but what it looks like it's doing, it looks like this building is shifting. It's swaying. And what it's doing is breaking around your chimney stacks and your vent caps that you have on the roof, and where your sewer vents out and stuff, that is breaking the flashing, is separating. And so it's running down the bricks and whatever, and it's running into there, and we're getting leaks into the building. So I had the roofing company come back out. Sean contacted them. They came out and looked at it, and they fixed it again. This is the second time they've had to do it. So we're not exactly sure why. The only thing they can come up with is this old building, just so big and it's old, and then the wind is just shifting a little bit to possibly causing it. So we'll have to dig into that more, because it's a brand new roof that's on here. It's only been on here about 3 years or so. But when you start getting leaks, other than that, I guess that's all for Public Works, unless y'all have any other suggestions or comments.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
it
sir.
says in here on number 6, the trash at Town Hall wasn't dumped. There's been several reports all over town where trash has not been picked up again in the last couple of weeks. So even one today I've seen on Facebook that somebody's complaining because they never stopped by and picked up their trash.
Okay. They come in here. I don't know what the routine has been here lately, but they usually stop in and say, "Hey, we're done." And if we don't get any calls before that, then we don't know that we need to send them back out. But with the holidays we've had here for the past 2 weeks, they're not showing up till Thursday to get it done. I don't know. Maybe they're in haste, and so I don't know. I don't know what to. I'm not trying to make any judgment on them or saying why they didn't, but we will definitely stay on top of it. India will get with Trish or she'll call and find out what's going on. But appreciate you bringing that up, though, because that is a concern. Police Department. Anybody have anything for the chief? Everybody good with what he's doing? I can tell you what you don't see here, or what you do see here, I should say, doesn't show what they're actually doing. All right. The chief is really, his department is really doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that he doesn't put on here because of certain reasons. They work with the deputies, the sheriff's department, real good around here. They're doing investigations. They're doing drug busts. They're doing catching people at food lines stealing, other locations stealing. They do a lot of work, and you just don't see it on this report because it wouldn't fan out. You get it on a report, and then people start getting the drift of what they're doing for an investigation that needs to be hush. But just to let you know, they are out here and they are working. I can contest to that. Town treasurer, finance report. I know India, you just getting in here. I know she's already jumped on to the finances. I know Mr. Voigt has been helping out, getting India set up with the budget and bringing things up for her and getting her set up. So I know they're diligently working. I did receive an email from USDA back in December that I responded to. I called Dee Dee and talked with her. It was in reference to our audits. And with her conversation was, come April, you don't have the next audit to her, which would be 2021 audit, that they'll probably start pushing us off what they call graduating from USDA, which means we don't need their support. And she knows we do, but she doesn't have an audit to sit here and show her people that we need the support, that we need USDA, that we can't do this funding for these water lines on our own. And she did make a comment that we wouldn't even be able to afford to close the closing costs on a commercial loan to do this work. So India and Trish, and they're supposed to be getting with Brown Audit, the company out of Ashland, and getting this stuff together so we can get it to Cox and Farmer so we can get the audit going. So that's the number one priority. That's it. Now everything else is pushed off until we get that established.
I had one thing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor. Trish had helped locate a payment that came in through the town for pass-through money, and she handled that and got that taken care of to the
Fire department.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say thanks to that because I think it was something that just kind of the state had passed over to the town, and it just kind of was sitting there. So she got all that resolved
Yes.
for them. So
Yeah, Mr. Iraq, how you say his name?
Ehrlich.
Yes, sir. He came in looking for it, and yeah, it should have been to them a few months ago, and it got dropped, and we're very sorry that it did. But yes, I signed the check and we got it to them. So yes, it's greatly appreciated, and we love passing stuff through to the fire and rescue department. Definitely. I'm just sorry it took so long. Anybody else? Town administration, town manager. I don't know if you want to. Any words you want to say, India?
Sure. Just thank you for the warm welcome. For those of you who've had a chance to speak with, again, I'm just very excited to get started. Being a hometown girl and resident in Caroline County, very excited to start this work. As it relates to the first couple days, I have reached out to Brown and Edwards to set up a time so they can come in and take a look and see where things are at this point. We'll also be following up with Robinson Farmer Cox and Associates. A couple of other matters that I've reached out on this week. The VDOT item that's before you all tonight for consideration rises to the top. But there are several other items, zoning matters that I've also worked on in the last couple of days. So I'll be forwarding council a bi-weekly report and then a monthly report when we have our council meeting. So I think that's all that I have at this time.
All right. And also to add to that, next meeting, we will, do a work session, and I think India is gonna start with the budget. Is that right, for next meeting? With
I
the
will
work
be
session?
working on a budget calendar for sure
Right.
by the next work session for us
Okay.
to discuss that timeline,
All right.
and we'll bring more information back then.
And also, Mr. Gore here will do some training next meeting, for, FOIA. So look for that. That's about a half hour to 45 minutes. So we'll do that. Yep. Okay. Oh, Lord, thank you very much. Valerie, thank you. But yes, it's our 2 year, rotation on the training. So,
So just to clarify, Mr. Mayor, so the town attorney's training on FOIA counts as the statutory requirement for training. My training on the Conflict of Interest Act does not. I mean, it's fine to do the training. It's always good to get more, to get a primer, get more training. But under the state law, in order to get your every 2 year check the box training, you have to go through that module that the Virginia Ethics Council does. So do that. Just doesn't get you out of that.
all right. Nothing else there. Moving on to, consent agenda, item number 5. Do I hear a motion to accept the bills for December 23? Consent agendas, please.
So moved.
I have a
Second it.
motion by Jeff. I have a second by, Randy. Thank you, sir. I lost my mind there. I need some of that Prevagen or whatever you call it. All in favor say aye. Motion so carries. Down to unfinished business. Number 6, VDOT Smart Scale Resolution Adoption. You remember in the last meeting we adopted or gave VDOT the permission to go ahead with option A. Right. There was some concerns about how the resolution would be written, to the point of adding, I think Arthur had stated something about a dollar figure into the resolution somehow. So I know that was a concern. So I guess we're here tonight just to make sure we get the resolution written the way council wants it. I'll sign it and get it off to them. So if we were good with the way it's written, then so be it.
Mr. Mayor, I think my question was during that discussion to VDOT about the original scope of the project that they said they couldn't edit, right? And it didn't reflect the new inflated price.
Right.
So my question was more towards VDOT, not necessarily the
Okay.
resolution,
All right.
because they had stated due to inflation it went from 11.8 to 14.1, and
Right.
I would anticipate that it would inflate even more by the time the project's completed.
But I can tell you one thing. They've already done 3D surveying out there on the bypass and on Chase Street. So I know they're already working on it. So they'll probably get on a whole lot sooner what they were talking about. It seems like. I just want to make sure that the resolution is correct before I sign it and get it off to them. So as long as everybody's in agreement with it, then so be it.
Motion to adopt.
Yes, ma'am, you may.
R2024-01, resolution supporting the smart scale application, implementation of improvements in the town of Bowling Green in accordance with the recommendations of the Route 301/Route 207 Arterial Preservation Plan and Small Area Plan.
I have a motion on the floor by Valerie. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second by Mr. Webb. Do I have any conversations?
Just a quick one from me.
Yes, sir. Discussions?
Yeah, since I wasn't here at the last one, it looks like there's enough that it won't obstruct anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and abstain, just because I would have had some questions, but in the interest of time, let's just get it done.
Okay, so we will have one abstain from the vote. Anybody else before we go to vote? We'll take a roll call. Jean,
Yes.
Jeff,
Abstain. Thanks.
okay. Dan,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
uh,
Randy,
Randy?
yes.
Arthur,
No.
and a no. And David Stork, for the record, is not here. Motion still carries, so the resolution is as it is. I'll sign it and we'll get it sent off. Thank you very much for that. Moving item 7, we need to do a town council meeting schedule for the next year. And one thing that was concerning to me while we were back there talking is I had laid mention to make sure that this meeting was scheduled tonight because it was not set up last year to continue into January, but it was put on the town website, which we looked at it and verified it. So we were good to go. Other than that, I didn't see anything out there posted nowhere that we were having a meeting. But it was posted. I had asked him earlier to make sure it got posted, but I didn't see it. But the website said yes, it was there. So that part was no big problem. But I would like to, I think here it's got on here January 2nd, 2025. So we won't have to worry about it next year.
Why don't we have a meeting scheduled for July?
Because July 4th falls on the Thursday for the meeting. And we can either add it or you can always add it when we get into May and June if you think you're going to need it. There's no problem with adding it the week after. So as of right now, it has not been put in there, it's left open. But if you need it, it's always there to do it.
We
Ju-
met last
July-
year in July.
Julys are usually pretty slow. Yes, we did. And we had talked about not doing it then. But if council wants to put it in there, that's no problem. That's up to y'all. Well, we can also wait and see how the budget goes and everything, and if we'll need it or not, or if we have something come up. So that's up to council to decide what they want to do. We can adopt it as it is, and then in June, pick up a July meeting.
If you want to have it, we might as well just put it in there now and not have to worry about
We can do that.
doing it later on.
It doesn't matter. However y'all want to do it. Yeah.
Cool with me.
All right, we'll put that down and we'll add that in. You said that was July 11th?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so with the resolution as it is, adding July 11th meeting in at 6 o'clock. Do I have a motion to accept the schedule?
I'll make that motion, sure, so moved.
I got a motion by Mr. Voigt. I got a second by Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this is the first time I had actually looked at my calendar going through the rest of the year, and I just realized I'm actually going to be out of town next month.
Okay.
So I'll unfortunately miss the meeting next month.
Okay.
That means I can do the training the following meeting. I can do it by WebEx if anyone wants to do it sooner, individually, but I don't think there's any problem. It's a 2-year requirement.
Right.
No one was just elected, so we don't have a
No,
2-month
yeah.
requirement.
No, we don't have anybody on that. You're right.
So that would be a
We can do it. We can do it at the later one
okay.
then.
Apologize for the late.
I think
notice.
it'd be better if we do it in person.
Yeah.
And, yeah. All right. Next item on the agenda, new business, town hall rental agreements.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we've talked about this, I think, once or twice. This is something John Anzavino sent to me as something to work on. I apologize for the 9-point font. On the computer screen, I can make it look bigger. This is ridiculous. I didn't bring my reading glasses, but I can tell you what it does. Your agreement wasn't that bad. I was thinking it was in worse shape than it was. after talking to John. But going through it recently, I did a few things. I'll just go hit the highlights, and I can answer questions. But all the red ink at the bottom in Section 8, that's pretty much was already in your agreement, and this has to do with the role of the chief of police and events that include alcohol, requiring them to obtain a license to run that through the chief, to have security based on the number of people and the presence of alcohol and other factors. That language, I think I cleaned it up a little bit, but substantively it's pretty much the same as you were already including, but it was in an attachment. It wasn't in the body of the document. So all that red ink at the bottom is just really folded in from what you're currently doing, and I think it all is prudent and makes sense. Substantively, if you look up in Section 3, that's where most of the substantive changes are, and they're not a lot. So the agreement already required lessees, people that rent the facility, to hold the town and its officers harmless as a result of any actions that happen or injuries from their use to property or people, their use of the facility. I just kind of beefed that up a little bit, clarifying that not only would you be held harmless, employees, elected officials who are officers or officials of the town, and the town itself, but any renter under this agreement would also have to indemnify the town. So, and that's pretty typical in a local government contract, that they would have to, if there was an injury or there was a claim of an injury to a person or property, and the town or town employees end up getting sued based on that, then this just clarifies, hey, if that happens, they have to indemnify you for any costs and defend you if necessary. So that's included. I took out up in paragraph 2, this is minor, but I just referenced the fee schedule because I figured that's something you might change from time to time versus actually having a deposit amount listed in as a security deposit in Section 2. I just referenced it as being part of the schedule. So we do have to, Indy, I didn't think about this, but we do have to put that in the schedule. And I didn't make any changes whatsoever to the schedule. I just kind of looked through it. So that's something you all can change anytime. I don't know how dated these numbers are, but I didn't touch any of those. They stayed the same. So those are the changes I would recommend. Unless there's something else you want to do, or if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that.
I've got one for you.
Yes, sir.
What you just highlighted about the fee schedule. Could we also do that on the second page there regarding the fees for the police department?
Yeah, good catch.
So that has a direct monetary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I thought that, but then again, I didn't really change that section. So, but yes.
Okay. I'd like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then you have all the fees in one place. And we can get with the chief. I don't know, chief, if you have any comments on security fees.
I just know the county just went up on theirs. So if we want to use them as a backup ever, we probably need to stay on the same page as them. I think they have a personnel cost, a personal cost, and then a business cost. So I guess if it's a company or something doing an event, it's different from private parties. So yeah, I can find out that if y'all want to change them, but I mean, as far as that goes, I'm fine with this thing with that.
It did look to me, reading that section, that like we have a defined amount for our police department, and although I can see it maybe reading a little bit differently, reads to me that if not using the police department, then you just got to pay whatever it is you got to pay for whoever else you get in there. But yeah.
If you want parity with the sheriff's office costs for this kind of security, we can certainly do that. Yeah, when you get us that info, we can plug that in.
Can we make a couple of additions? We get a lot of nonprofits, and I just would like to see and hear that there is the requirement that they provide their 501c3 tax exempt information, because many times it is not presented, and it's not in file, and we don't know if they're a 501c3 or not. If there's some way we can add that in there.
Do they get a reduced rate?
They do. So we need to know who it is. Is there any way we can add a force majeure in here? There's really nothing in here that says if the town needs to cancel for some whatever reason. It's just a cancellation on the part of the lessee, but it doesn't say anything about if the town has to cancel. Something like that. If there is anyone who wants Wi-Fi availability, are we going to allow them to utilize our Wi-Fi?
Yeah, sometimes the DJs require it because that's how they get their music and stuff. If we have a guest Wi-Fi, I mean, that's what we should be issuing, nothing, other than that.
Well, that's what I'm
So,
saying.
yeah,
If we're going to provide that,
Yeah.
we need to have that in here.
Yep.
In addition, there are some people that want equipment rentals. Will we be doing that in the future? People want LCD projectors. They might want to utilize a screen. They might want to have say, a memorial service, and they want pictures up there. Will we be providing equipment rental?
not to
Now
my
or in the
knowledge.
future?
The people that we
Something to
normally,
consider.
the people that we normally use is like David's Rentals up in Fredericksburg, and that's who they go to get whatever they want here. Like they rent to have the place decorated up, all that usually goes through David's Rentals and stuff. I don't think we've ever done anything in rentals or provided anything
I
with
get
them.
that.
But
I'm
yeah,
just saying in the future.
but you're right.
it's
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
maybe we should consider. That's
Okay.
additional revenue, but so people wouldn't have to go to David Rentals.
Yeah.
They can rent it from us
Right.
instead.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, so you're saying you would like to see us maybe get into that
well,
if we need
if
to?
we had a setup in
Yeah.
these buildings, technology-wise, where we
Yeah.
had that opportunity, people would do that.
Yeah.
Most meeting and event places, you would ask the person, do
And
you
they
want
have
rent?
it. Right. Okay.
I mean,
All
I
right.
always rented their LCDs.
That's
They
something
charge $600.
we'll have to look
day.
into that then and see what we.
that we would do
Okay.
that, but-
All right. Cool. Sounds good.
Also, the temperature controls, is there a way we can put a lock on them so people don't use them as an accordion? People go into our heating system, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. There has to be some way we can put a control on there so people cannot use it. We set the temperature gauge, and that's what it is. So example, I walk in a room, I'm going to have 300 people in that room. I walk in and everyone says, oh my God, it's so cold in here. And I said, that's great. Once 300 people are in that room, you're sweating to
It
death.
gets warm. Right.
So our system goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's causing challenges. And at one point it was broken and had to be repaired. So is there a way we can do something?
You can
Normally
usually
in
put
places, they don't allow the
Yeah.
person who's renting to have control
Right.
over heat and air.
you can put a box over top of them that only us have a key
key.
to it to open it up and change it. So
only-
yes.
Town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have there's boxes you can put on. There you go. Randy put a plug in for himself. Way to go, Randy.
So,
Just
it's
send Sean over,
I
we'll
know
take care of it.
pity, but, hopefully as we move down the road,
Yeah.
these things become more frequent. And
Okay.
as the building is in somewhat of a repair need,
Right.
and then insurance, I guess, whoever leases, we need to make sure they have insurance.
Like what? Insurance.
Maybe if they burn down our building, that person can provide their insurance, so they pay for it, and our insurance doesn't have to.
Never been to a place had to do that before.
Okay.
I'm just saying, never. I've never heard of that. I mean, not saying it ain't, but I've been to a lot of places and rented a lot of places, and just Usually your insurance is your insurance for the events that you do and stuff. But with this being here with the, what'd you say, a disclaimer, I don't know how that would play in, but
The indemnification.
identification,
Yeah.
excuse me, thank you.
I mean, I've seen. I didn't add that because I didn't really know the nature of. Well, we hadn't talked about it, but I didn't really know the nature of who you rent to. You know, and maybe that's something that might make sense to be considered if you do differentiate between a business entity that rents the facility for some sort of business function versus a family and birthday party. You know, maybe it depends on the scale and type of event. 'Cause I don't think it's unheard of to require insurance and to have the town named as an additional insured. So we can.
Business wise, I can see, cause they usually have insurance and they can just say, hey, add the town on as part of our liability, additional insurer. Yeah, so.
And the only other question I had is on the cancellation, the transfers. Is that transfer meaning if they cancel, they can get one extra date? Most people, I can't do it on the 15th, can I do it 30 days later?
That's what it sounds like to me. That's how I interpreted it. It's sort of one free change of date kind of provision. That's how I read it, but I don't know the intent.
So if they cancel within 30 days, they can either get a deposit back or transfer to another date. If they cancel less than 30 days, they lose their deposit unless they provide another date.
I wouldn't give them a deposit back unless we rent the place back out.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it should be deposit set up for a reason and we hold it. And if you cancel 30 days prior, does that give us enough time to rent it out again when we've already may have turned people down? Deposit ought to stick. Deposit ought to stick.
frankly, I don't even know why they need to get a deposit back. If they give us a deposit,
Right.
just put the deposit towards the balance. Why do we
Right.
give the deposit
Yeah.
back? That's an extra accounting measure.
I agree with that too. They should pay what's the remaining from the deposit when when they pay. So we don't have to issue check because we keep issuing checks back, and we have people calling up here complaining. Well, how come I ain't got my deposit check back yet? And they do, and they get downright nasty sometimes. But I agree with what you're saying. It ought to be rolled in right towards the balance. But and if they cancel, they lose their deposit because we've had to take time, our manpower to take care of the situation with them, talk to them, set the date up, and then we can't rent it out, and then they cancel. We lost that rental. Now that's the way every other place I've dealt with, and that's the way we even do it too. Not trying to bring that into play, but deposits you lose. Now, if you want to extend it for another time, then that's fine. Deposit will carry over to that another date, but I don't think they should get it back.
Yeah, so you're sort of framing it as a non-refundable deposit.
Right.
So I think,
Yeah, and
and I think there's two. Then I think we're talking about two different types of deposits. So you're talking about a deposit that is basically a reservation deposit.
yes,
A security deposit is typically framed to cover the costs of damages incurred and the cost to repair those damages under landlord-tenant law. That money is basically held in trust for the tenant. I don't know if it varies for commercial or government, but that's typical. That's how that kind of security deposit is treated. So you don't just keep that if there's no damage. So I think what we're talking about is maybe creating I don't know, I could figure out the terminology, but more of a reservation deposit that is non-refundable. You put down $100, whatever it is, and that goes towards the balance.
Right, a percentage, usually
Yeah.
15%.
Yeah,
15%
and that's
of the total amount.
that's
is what the deposit
right,
is.
and that's different from money they would get back if no damage is incurred. So I can craft something that
Okay.
does that.
I could just add in that I understand. I think your point, Valerie. Like, say the rental's set to for a nonprofit $575, I think. Well, then on top of that, there's the $300 security deposit, if that's what you want to call it, right? I think that goes in there. And so what happens is the the lessee, I guess, is that what we're calling, will place that security deposit, and then they come pay for it, and then the town has to turn around and send back that deposit after the fact. And I do get the point that it's creating probably extra work versus just putting that towards the balance due, right? But in the event that maybe we have to just add literature to say, in the event that damages occur, the individual leasing will be held responsible. I think it would take a workflow process out of town staff to have to cut a check back and try to, paper trail that, which I think is what's currently happening.
Yeah.
Is that the point that I think I know that's happening right now. And I think we could probably do away with that, right?
So what you're suggesting is just having one deposit then, not one for damages but really just a non-refundable deposit that covers the town in the event of
I think like what's happening in workflow process right now is there's a deposit, it's given to the town, and then there's a payment due that's given to the town, and then the town turns around and pays back the individual that rented town hall that first deposit at a later date after they've rented. That's what's happening.
Right. Yeah, that is there's another part of that too. So we'll use the 575 you said. So a person's going to come in, they're going to pay the 300 for the deposit. Then they're going to come in, they're going to pay another 575. So now they're up to 875, and then eventually they get the 300 back. But I think a question that we'd want to ask is, when's the last time that we have withheld from the security deposit? Like, how often does that happen?
I haven't heard of any. Really, I haven't. But
One of the last parties we just had, I believe they took an extra 100 out of that because of the mess in the place. Yeah, it took Sean a lot longer to clean it
right.
than it normally would have. So I'm not 100% sure. I was just overhearing the conversation. So I do know that if something's messed up or if they have to take extra time to clean something, they do take that out of security. So
Right. Well, I mean, it's one thing to have to do it, but it's the system that we have in place. It isn't working for the girls because it's months sometimes before they're able to find that to even reissue the money back. So if we continue to do that, we need to come up with a system that's easier to find it, to get it done. Because people come in quite often and they're complaining, raising heck, and where's my deposit check? And I should have had it back 2 months ago. And
I can say it's probably easier to withhold money when you already have it back to somebody that's leasing from you than to ask for it, to say, hey, you caused extra cleanup. Please pay me $200. Like, it's probably going to be hard at that point to obtain the 200 unless you already have it. So I think there's pros and cons to both ways, but.
And that's what their insurance play into that then.
You think it's easy to get insurance money?
No, I'm just.
But I mean, well, I guess, yeah, that's the point of a security deposit for damage is that provides an incentive for whoever leases to not damage the property, right? So knowing that they're going to get that money back. If you just add that to the cost, then the town is not.
Right.
Then you're like, are you increasing the cost of the rental by a third? I mean, you can do that. You can build in the risk. You can adjust your risk by just adding it to the rental fee and say, you know what, we're going to increase the rental fee by 50%. And part of that's going to be a non-refundable deposit that it's just a reservation deposit they pay. But the way it's crafted now is the deposit is paid when the fee is paid. So essentially all you're doing if you're doing that is just increasing the fee, which you could do. You can always increase the fee.
I just wanted to know if
yeah,
there's
they
a
should-
viable way to make things.
Make it
Yeah.
easier.
They should be taking a,
You know,
they should be
whatever.
taking a
No, it's
deposit
a g-
from the time they make the reservation. There should be a deposit right then made on it. Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
a security deposit, which
Yeah.
is refundable. I mean, I'm no accountant, but I mean, I guess the town could just keep the check in the drawer and hand it back to them.
What, and that's what I was like, well, why are we even
I mean, if there's no
depositing the
damage.
money? Why don't we just save the check and give it back to them? Why are we depositing and then got to write a check and give it back? Because I asked Trish about that last time. I said, just hang on to the check. Put it in with their file. They come in, here's your check back, and we don't have to worry about nothing else. I said, that's the easiest and best way to do it. Here's your check.
Yeah, you could do that when they turn the key back in.
Right. See? That's right.
Okay,
Here you go. Here's your deposit back.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
if we are using it as a damage deposit,
Mm-hmm.
they can cancel that check and you have no guarantee.
You're right. Either way, you don't. Yeah. If you cash it, they could, I
Well,
see
if
what
you
you're
deposit
saying.
it first. Sorry.
Yeah, you deposit that, you have it. You control it. If you only have the check and there happens to be issues, they could cancel that check and you don't have anything. I mean, I think that we ought to take the money, hold on to it, use it as a reservation / damage deposit. Once everything's done, we issue it back to them. I mean, it's not like we have that many. To me, that's the safest way to do it from our end.
All right. So I guess, Jeff, you got a little bit of work to do on this. We can bring it back next month or the next time.
Well, yeah, I'll get it to India and
Okay. All right. So is everybody done with the town hall rental agreements? Informational items, we don't have anything, but we do have a thing coming up at Fort A.P. Hill on the 25th, Fort Walker. We got the reception. There's supposed to be, I talked to Chris yesterday, and he said the system that sends out the RSVPs is down. But he was hoping he would have it yesterday. It's the 25th. Yeah, at 6 o'clock. No, at night. Yeah, in the morning, Randy. Yeah. But anyhow, the RSVPs should be coming out anytime now. So when you do the RVSP that, and that's at the. I won't forget it this time. I forgot. Well, we weren't feeling too good, and we missed the candlelight. Man, we didn't want to miss that, but we did. Chris said he said it was hot in there though. Chris said it was hot in that church. Was it hot in there? Yeah. Yeah, he said it was hot, but yeah, and AP Hill Fort Walker is really jumping on board with trying to support the town as far as events and any other stuff that they can do for us. They said always reach out to them and they'll try to support us in any way we can, or they can. Anything else? I don't have any other information.
Move we adjourn.
Yes, ma'am. I got a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
I got a second by Mr. Webb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're out of here tonight, folks. Job. Yes, sir.